Hi everyone, a short video today just taking a look through the 2019 Golden Age questions that were posed in the 2019 exam. This is the first time that you've watched one of the English Lab YouTube videos. Take a look around our channel. We'll also link to our Golden Age discussion and deep dive video, which we've completed recently, and take a look around and see what else might be able to help you. Today, as I said, we're just going to take a look at the two questions, and we're not going to plan them in any great detail or tell you how to go about answering them directly in terms of what you should say and what evidence should be used, but rather we're going to take a look at the approach that could be taken and the certain things that students made the mistake of doing in 2019 that we want you to avoid as you're getting ready for your exam, whatever year that might be. And so as we can see there, the first question that was posed to the 2019 students was, the Golden Age explores Frank's gradual realization that he can rely only on himself. And so with the benefit of hindsight, and when we can take a deep breath and look at this outside of exam conditions, I was tempted then to stop and slow down and really read that term gradual realization really slowly. But I, of course, didn't do that because I didn't want to be annoying and frustrating for you, but I do want to get that idea across that you need to take that deep breath on exam day and make sure you're reading every word of the question and understanding exactly what it's asking of you. Because I can tell you from having marked a bunch of responses to this question that I saw so many students that just zipped past that idea of it being a gradual realization. Rather, they looked at it and said, okay, yep, it's saying Frank can only rely on himself. Yeah, I agree with that. Here's 3 reasons why Frank can only rely on himself. And if that was the approach that you took, to merely just say, yes, I agree with this question in that Frank can only rely on himself, well, then you weren't answering the full question. And whilst that doesn't mean that you're going to have a huge X put against your name and have 3 or 4 marks taken off out of 10, it does limit how far your response can take you, because responding to the question and showing a full understanding of the question and answering it in full is a major part of the criteria for the exam. So what does it mean then to have a gradual realization? It changes the question quite a bit. It adds this dynamic that Frank slowly comes to understand that he can rely on himself. So therefore, what it is saying to us is that Frank eventually understands that he can only rely on himself, but there are events that lead us to it. And so the very best responses that were written in response to this question were the ones that talked about these milestones along the way of Frank's journey that led to him eventually understanding that he could only rely on himself. And so that might have been, Sullivan's death. It might have been an understanding of his mother and how things progressed with her and what he came to understand. It may have been what happened with Elsa, of course, and there's millions of things that we could say about his relationship with Elsa, but people's reactions to the two of them being found together and what happened in the wake of that. And so rather than just saying, okay, there's 3 things I can think of, Sullivan, Ida, and Elsa, there's my 3 paragraphs, it was making sure that it was a discussion and that it was resolving that topic and that it was moving towards a contention of saying, Frank does realize that he has to rely on himself, and it happens because of these reasons. Not because of those people, but that those people and what they start to get out of him and how he comes to understand the world. So when we take a look at it like that, it's a really great question to show to students, even if they're not studying the Golden Age, in having that really sophisticated difference. And if you're aiming for the stars with this exam and you're aiming to do the absolute best that you can, you need to have that understanding that the very best essays, the ones that are scored, an 8, a 9, a 10 out of 10 when it comes to the exam, are the ones that are moving towards a response and have this ultimate response at the end of it that has been achieved by the 3 paragraphs working together cumulatively to come to that form of resolve by the end of it. And so you need to make sure that you take that approach into any question, whether it's asking you about a gradual realization or not, that idea that you need to be looking at, okay, how do all my paragraphs move together in order to come to this one idea, rather than looking at it as saying, okay, I've got 3 paragraphs and each of them are going to say these own static, isolated things and it's all going to just prove the one idea. looking at it in a way of looking at the different sides of an idea and the different ideas that the author is getting across, and being able to shine a light on all of those across those 3 paragraphs in order to get to one eventual idea, that's where success lies. And so with question 2, again, it has this little fragment there at the start, this little clause with, in the end, comma, love saves the characters in the golden age. And again, if you hadn't taken a deep breath, if you're a student in 2019 and you said, cool, I know heaps about love when it comes to the golden age. I'm going to write about Frank and Elsa. I'm going to talk about Olive Penny, and then I'm going to talk about people who aren't in love. Maybe I'm going to talk about Ida and Maya. And if that was your response to go, yeah, it's about love, so I'm just going to write 3 paragraphs that are about love, again, you are limiting yourself as to how far you could go. In the end, it's almost a little bit like that gradual realization, isn't it? In the end, love saves the characters. And so with that, of course, you need to be able to think about the fact that what that question is posing to you is not that love saves everything and love's fantastic and that love saves all the characters, but that it's saying that despite the turmoil, despite the journey, despite the hard times that they have to go through, in the end, love saves the characters in the golden age. And so what that essentially means is that rather than it just being love saves the characters, you need to consider the fact that this is saying that there are things that happen along the way that challenge these characters, that challenge these relationships. However, ultimately, in the end, love does save them. Of course, it does say discuss, and so it's there for you to generate your own contention and what you feel about it, and to show every side of the idea. And you could have some success with that when you are pointing at perhaps relationships or characters that you feel don't meet that criteria. And perhaps love doesn't save everyone, and that would be okay. Just make sure that when you're going for that sort of technique, that you're not just being really static in the way you go about it. We're saying, I'm going to write 2 paragraphs that agree and 1 that disagrees. It's all right to do that, so long as that disagreement is working, like a rebuttal, or working towards helping you make your point. That you can say, it can be interpreted in this way, and that there might be a relationship or a character that shows us the opposite. However, it comes to this in the end. You can't just say, yeah, there's 2 places where this is right and 1 where it's wrong, and that's it. Your part where you start to challenge the question a little bit needs to work as a part of your response and how you get to the end of it. So if you are a little bit challenged by the idea of what to do when it says, do you agree or discuss, or to what extent, and all those types of things, I've got another video that I'll include a link to in the description that is all about the different types of questions they might ask and how you can go about responding to them. So be sure to check that one out. Otherwise, please let me know if you have any questions, or if there's anything that you'd like to discuss. Perhaps after today's video, you're going to go away and you're going to write a couple of plans, perhaps even write a couple of practice essays in response to these questions. If you want something in terms of a bit of advice, or to think about, this idea and do you think it would work, feel free to put them down there in the comments. We pride ourselves in getting back to those comments really, really quickly, and we want to hear from you and be able to help you out. Finally, if you have any feedback about things that you're seeing on our channel, or anything else that you feel that you would like to get out of the English Lab channel, please make sure you put them down there in the comments as well. Otherwise, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, all of that stuff. And until we see you next time, all the best and good luck.